Hello, we're on the 4th of June. We're nearly halfway through this year. And I'm sort of thinking, how has that even happened? Another year that's been sort of half written off. Lots going on with the virus. You know, there's a new strain now that's affecting global travel. The tourist industry is in an absolute mess. But, you know, there's some good things happening. And the good news this week is our charity application was submitted last night. Absolutely fantastic. So it's gone off. The next step is lots of toing and froing with the Charity Commission until we've got a model or a project that works for them. So hopefully by the end of the summer we're going to have a charity. What that's meant is that we've needed a little bit more time, so we've sort of snoozed a lot of the bubbles. So the bubbles that have been sort of bubbling away sort of gently, we've just put people back onto the group. They're finding that absolutely fine. You know, we can always reactivate the bubbles, but we just put them to sleep for now, and we've probably only got 9 active bubbles running now, so that's more manageable. We're working on sort of very serious things. Gosh, I'm having to be a grown-up, so we're doing things like policies and scrutiny of our work and looking for possible sources of funding. This is what a charity is all about. It's going to be a lot more sort of paperwork, I would imagine. So I need to find a team of people around that can do that stuff effectively. But on a serious note, we've got some amazing people. Andy Elwood, as we know, has been a rock throughout this process. None of this would have happened without Jay Lucas at the beginning. You know, really got us focused on what we were setting out to achieve. So amazing, thank you, Jason. Ken, Alex, Mark, JJ, just a really good team of people. We've got Joe and Dave also working in the background on the support, Adrian, Dave Martin. There's just so many people associated with us. I'm sorry if I've missed your name off. But there's so many people there in the background, just really sort of behind what we're doing, including all our partners that probably sort of, we take a lot of time up with the charity, so we're not spending as much time with partners. So whether that's a good thing or a bad thing remains, who knows. But they tolerate us doing this. So thank you for all the hard work that people are putting in. Really appreciate it. Last week we did the Ride to Recruit advanced preparation visit. So this was a best part of nearly 1,200 miles sort of journey down to the south coast. So it started off with us meeting Dee from I Am Road Smart from the Solent branch. So we did a guest speaker slot for them. Excuse me. And we actually agreed to meet with Dee. So Dee's their administrator. She's an incredible woman, full of energy. And we met with her at the Sammy Miller Museum. Really nice. I'm really glad, because that was the start of our advanced preparation visit. She was the first partnership that we met with, and it's a very high standard of person to meet with. So we met with the Sammy Miller Museum, left lots of materials, and then, you know, sort of met with I Am Road Smart, Solent branch, and we're doing more strategic stuff with them nationally. And then on the Sunday morning we went down to the Distinguished Gentleman's Ride. It was a bit, probably not quite what I was expecting because of the COVID regulations. People were in sort of waves, so we were the early door sort of people. We were the early ones there, and it was quiet, not a lot happening. But you know, we showed our faces. We managed to see Ian McKellen, who sort of organised it. Really nice guy. Sadly, we didn't have any time to talk with him. Alex Reed from Key Riders, again, we didn't have time to spend with him, which was a real shame. And I thought we might be able to catch up on the Tuesday, but it just didn't work out. But we introduced ourselves, we said hi, everything was fine, and we started the process of the relationship. Something we would be keen to do that again. A really enjoyable sort of ride all the way through Poole and Bournemouth. But the highlight for me was getting up to the Churchill Arms and meeting Tanya, the landlady. She's a mental health first aider. She's a proper ambassador of what we're doing, and we want the Churchill Arms to be very central to the southern part of what we do next year at the Ride to Recruit Baton Relay. And as we were there, you know, we got very well looked after. She made us a lovely breakfast, copious amounts of cups of tea, and you know, it was all on the house, and I felt so really grateful for that. Just such a special thing to do. She looked after us. So that's a great friendship developing, Tanya at the Churchill Arms. And then we met with the dot bikes. So Ian Mew and his team, we met with them. They turned up on the bikes. It looked really cool. They've got a brand new BMW RT, which was smashing. It was the first proper run out for that bike. So really pleased to meet Ian. Again, we didn't have enough time to spend with each other, but for me, it was just about the initial connection. I really like the guys. You know, there's something there, something that works. So, you know, hopefully we're going to try and get Ian up to Chesterfield, Derbyshire, for a couple of days. Maybe I can meet with him and the trustees, and we can sit down and really sort of sketch out what's possible between our two organisations. So that's a possibility. The riding was really tough because we had probably two and a half, probably half the ride was in torrential rain. So I've never ever been so wet on a bike. You couldn't have showered me and be any more wet than we were. But the good thing was we were booked into hotels and apartments, so we'd got warm showers at the end of the day. And we actually rode through a road traffic accident. We got to the front where the accident was and the road was shut down. And yeah, we sort of filtered through to the front, and then this great big sort of BMW X5 sort of pulled up with police armed response people in there, and they were asking about mental health motorbikes, and Nick gave them one of our cards, and one of the armed response guys has actually joined the group, so at some point I'll sort of catch up with him. But he was really nice because the roads were shut down, and he actually sort of said, you guys are obviously very wet, filter through, be safe, just avoid the glass and the accident. And it was a woman that had aquaplaned in her car. She did the central reservation and then bounced off an ambulance. So she wasn't critically ill. There wasn't any sort of major damage, a bit of blood and airbags from the airbags. And yeah, she probably was all right. But it was really nice they allowed us to filter through. So yeah, really good trip. We went all the way down the south coast, down to Land's End. We got a mental health motorbike sort of sign on the official sign at Land's End, MH Motorbike. We got a nice photo, and then we went up to Glastonbury. That was so wet. We saw Glastonbury Tor, you know, drove probably about an hour and a half out of the way to see that, and it was so wet and uninspiring, but I'm sure we felt the ley lines and the energy. So we got back to the hotel and had some beers, so that was really helpful. And then we saw Gazza, you know, sort of in a very sad state. He was in a pub that we was in on his own. We heard his voice, so Nick actually sort of went and we sort of had a little chat with him, heard some really interesting and funny stories, and then he went home very drunk on his own. So it was quite tragic really to see somebody who was a living legend in such a mess. He's not much older than I am, to be honest. Yeah, so very sad. But overall, a really productive trip. We went to Stonehenge, up through Abergavenny, had some really good sort of social crack. And it made me realise just how tough 3,000 miles will be in 2 weeks. I'm riding with Martin. Martin's a much more experienced rider. I've got some skills training I need to do before we do the Baton Relay. I've just got to learn to handle the corners a little bit more confidently, put a bit more trust in the bike. We did have a little spill. Martin actually had a little spill, but it was completely down to the road conditions and I think it was horse manure on the road, and it was greasy. It was very wet. It just low speed sort of spill. It showed how impressive the GSs are, though, you know, in handling low speed accidents. Not a scratch on the bike. Yep, so what else is happening? Just to finish off, we've got the mental health first aid course running next week. June's course, not quite full, but we might actually get a couple more over the weekend. Yeah, and that's it really. All in all, very excited about the charity. Ride to Recruit was brilliant, and lots happening. We don't slow down, it's not in our nature. So have a good weekend everybody, and look after yourselves. If you're out on your bikes, stay safe. And yeah, the birds are singing. The sky's a little bit cloudy, but it is very, very warm today. I love it. The birds are all sort of nesting still, so it's quite peaceful. Very, very green. There's been a lot of rain recently, so it's so beautiful. All right, so peace everybody. Look after yourselves. Goodbye.